Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. It is 11:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Coming off a sweep, baby, 6-0 on the night. Hope everybody was tailing along. Let's take a quick look at it all, how we did, and then we'll run right back into some bets for Wednesday here. We got Paolo under. He was the star of the night there for us as we took him to go under 35 points and assists. Also had him to do that alongside the Minnesota Timberwolves money line. They spanked the Orlando Magic, who did not seem to even get off of the bus or out of their cars at home to get into this game. So Minnesota walks away with the win. Isaiah Hartenstein ended up with a bunch of rebounds, 14 of them, over 11.5 boards, minus 105 there. So we love that one. Manuel quickly also went over pretty much in the beginning of the third quarter there, had a nice over 23 points and assists by the time that the third quarter was a little bit underway. Luka went under there, a little bit of an injury for him, so we'll have to monitor that as well. Some knee stuff. Somebody, I believe, fell on his knee in that one. It might have been Diambo or Tillman, one of the centers for the Grizz there. But the Grizz did win that game as well, as Luka was unable to get the 9 assists. He only had 6, but he had 31 points and a bunch of rebounds. So we targeted the correct stat for him. And then Scotty Barnes went under 14 rebounds and assists comfortably there. I think he had 9 at the end of the game, had a bunch of them in the fourth quarter, but none in the third. So we got some units off of that action as well. So 6-0. Plus 3.4 units. That makes us up 21.8 units in player props alone there, 98 and 61, 110 and 77 on the season, up 14 units, as we still haven't gotten back any of those sides and totals that we lost. I'm not going after those. I've got 3 plays, well, really 5 plays here for you guys as I'm looking at Wednesday's giant slate. I want to let you know right now, I will be coming to you with more bets after this video. I wanted to get something up for you really late on Tuesday night for Wednesday's big slate. Still some props and lines that are coming out in for that Wednesday slate that'll be coming out Wednesday morning. So I'll get another video out to you probably around noon Pacific, 11 a.m. hopefully Pacific time. Yeah, let's say 11 a.m. Pacific time. For you guys on the East Coast, that'll be 2 p.m. tomorrow. That'll have, let's say, 3 to 4 more picks other than the ones that I've got here for you, because we have such a big slate. I know there's a lot that I like outside of what I have right now. But let's get into what I have right now for you guys. Also, might as well remind you off top to subscribe to the page and like the video if you would, if you're getting something out of these picks. We're 13-2, man, in the last 3 nights. So let's stay hot with Bruce Brown, baby. Like, I don't know what I'm missing here. This is too low to me. Over 11.5 points is a good reason for us to ladder Bruce as well. And maybe this gets bet up. So, you might not see this at 11.5 by the time it gets to you guys on Wednesday morning, for those of you that can't see it tonight. But 11.5 is minus 120. So we'll put a unit on that. We've got 1.7 total here on Bruce Brown. 15 plus points is plus 185, half a unit there. And 18 plus points is plus 425. 0.2 units there. And I want to be real clear really quickly about what units are, because some people were asking me in the comments of the last video, and someone incorrectly said a unit is $1,000, and it is not. 1 unit is equal to 1% of your bankroll. So whatever you've allotted yourself for money for your budget for betting, right? Let's say you are like, here's $1,000. This is for betting. 1 unit for you is now $10, right? It's but 1%. Yeah, not 1/10, 1%. So we'll look at that. That's what I have here. For me, I'm going with $100 units. So that's what we're playing here. And when you see 0.5, obviously $50. No Tyrese Halliburton in this game is huge. Brown's going to be running the point more than anything. We'll see some Andrew Nembhard in there as well, running point and playing point guard, but this is going to be a lot less like Tyrese Halliburton style basketball and a lot more just get it and freaking go. And I know that's already the Pacers style of play, but in the half court, Tyrese is clearly the point guard and the dude handling the ball, setting everything up. That's going to be a little bit more of Bruce Brown and a little bit more Andrew Nembhard, maybe even than Brown. But the point is because they're running in transition so much, he's the point guard of the fast break offense. Let's put it that way, right? Like he's in the fast break, the third most of any player on this team and the most of any guard on this team. Yes, more than Tyrese Halliburton. He's in transition is Bruce Brown about 28% of the time. Washington's awful, period. But specifically awful against transition as they give up the 6th most transition points in the league. They have the 6th worst opponent like points per possession. So whenever their opponent gets into the transition, they're likely to score most of the time. And that's what we're going to see from Brucey B, who loves to get into transition. And that's why he had 17 and 30 points in 2 of the games without Halliburton. In the one game that he did not have this prop right here, or even I should say at least 17 points, it was a blowout loss to Boston. So that game, he only played 21 minutes, wasn't even close from at any point in it. It was over by the second quarter, and then he didn't even really play in the second half. The other games, very likely that, it's just like I said, he's got the higher usage. His points go from 11 per game with Halliburton this season to 17 per game. As you can see, 17 points, 30 points, and then one that he actually had 3 points. So we're going to go all the way with Bruce here and get him on the ladder with 2 of them here, all the way up to 18 points at least for him. But I love the core bet there with just 1 unit. So let's go to an under here with Steph Curry. And I'm going back to the well, man, like this is still too high. Now, right when this opened at the rebounds and assists for Steph Curry, it was 9.5 rebounds and assists. It already got bet up, right? That's why this under is at minus 140. I will tell you, it probably will be better by the time you wake up or are watching this video tomorrow. It's very likely that the 10.5 rebounds and assists for Steph is all the way up to, I mean, maybe it's not at 11.5, but minus 140 probably won't be the under anymore. It'll probably be, minus 120, I would imagine. That it's just going to keep getting better because people will bet over on his props, which makes the under more valuable for us who are betting that. He's gone under this number, 10.5, in 14 of the last 15 games. Draymond's missed the last 13, really the last 14 games, because he left that Suns game early after clocking Nurkic in the face with his fist. So the last 15 games, he's averaging 7.1 rebound chances. Steph, he's not anywhere near the paint, really. There's not really any room for him anymore. As I've spoken about, the cutters like Kuminga and Wiggins, and, well, Gary Payton's not going to be in there, but more cutters than shooters on this team now, right? And so a lot of those guys are slashing into the lanes, which means Steph is not, which means Steph's not available for those rebounds that are right around inside the foul line area. So that's why the rebound chances are so low, and that's why he's only averaged 3.5 boards in his last 15. The eight potential assists with 5 assists actually recorded, it's actually high, as I talk about consistently. Like it's a little bit on the high side. Let's put it that way. In terms of when you get potential assists, you expect 50 to 55% of those to result in actual assists. He's obviously above this 50% mark and above the 55% mark, so it's still on a little bit on the high side when you look at 8 potential assists versus 5 that he's recording. A great example of how it should go is in the last game, of how it has gone, I should say, is this last game versus Toronto. When he had 6 assists, he had 8 potential assists. So that's an anomaly for sure. And I don't expect that to continue against this Pelicans team, which has allowed the second fewest points and rebounds to point guards in their last 15 games. The assists might be there a little bit more for Steph, but I still just think that the rebounds and assists combined is a nice bet. I don't like just going with the assists or just the rebounds because they're 3.5. Putting them together, it's a nice play because this isn't going to be one where I think he can fill up all 3 stat lines. He's either got to go points, and that's the one most likely to hit is points in this one, because at the end of the day, he's at home. And if Steph is shooting, Steph going to shoot. And then he could really shoot his way into like 35 points. And I don't want to have to take under 38.5 rebounds and assists when Steph's going off and just draining threes, right, against this Pelly's team. I don't think it's likely. I think the PRA is a good under as well, but Steph can Steph at any given time. To protect against that, we just go with the rebounds and assists because everything is tailor-made for him to continue going under this prop. All right, let's close it out with more of a lean because I don't have Obi Toppin's props up. Let me take a sip of my Manhattan. Over 10.5 points because that's what I'm projecting it at. That's what I would take it at. I don't see it. I just can't see Obi at an 11 or 12.5 point prop. I don't think it'll come out at that. I'm kind of good at this. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm better at projecting what Vegas is going to put his lines at than probably even betting, to be honest. But more importantly, for this one, 10.5 is what I see it at. Don't hit me in the comments with, should I take it at 9.5? I'm telling you to take it at 10.5. So I would also take it at 9.5. I love when people do that. I would take the 15 plus in a ladder though. And I think we're going to get that around 2-1. If it comes out at 10.5, we should see it at about 2-1. You saw Brucey B at 11.5 points. His 15 plus was plus 185, right? So I think with a slightly smaller prop for Obi Toppin's points, look, we might get this at like 8.5 because he should be starting in this game. And he's tailor-made for points against this freaking Wizards team who is awful in transition. They're awful against power forwards, allowing the second most points per game to power forwards, allowing the most rebounds per game to power forwards. But I don't even know what the rebound situation is going to be like. It's just going to be ping-ponging back and forth in this one. So rather than worry about any of the ancillary stats for Obi here, we're just going to go with the points because he's gotten plenty of points in usage too once Halliburton goes out. In the 3 games without Hallie, one of which, as we already established, was a blowout loss to Boston. So we don't really count that one for the starters not getting starter minutes, Obi included in that one. Actually, he still went over in that game, I believe. The other game, the only game he didn't go over was the Minnesota game. So he's a little bit different than Bruce. The Minnesota game, I mean, look, it's power forwards. We just took Paolo under against them for a reason. We wouldn't go over with Obi against the Timberwolves, but against the Wizards. Hawks and Wizards are equally as terrible on defense. So it's the same shit, but like you always take the solid, athletic scorer who can also hit threes from the corner. Obi Toppin, right? Obi Toppin, Jalen Johnson, these types of really solid athletic power forwards are the ones that you love to take against a team like the Wizards, in this case, like the Hawks, if they were playing them. And so we'll continue to target him in this situation where he gets out in transition more than Bruce Brown. So if you like transition points against the Wizards, you're going to really like Obi Toppin in this one. All right. By the way, I will finalize the Obi bet for you guys on that second video that I'm bringing tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to check back in to know exactly how we're playing Obi once we see what his props are. But you know what I would do based on these numbers here. So if it comes out at 11.5, 12.5, you can hit me with that question in the comments like, should I bet this? All right. But for now, Bruce Brown, over 11.5 points, minus 120 on DK, 1 unit. Ladder that shit up, 15 plus points, 18 plus points, and we got a total of 1.7 units on Brucey B for this game tomorrow against the Wizards. Steph Curry, Wardell, love you, buddy, one of the best to ever do it, but under 10.5 rebounds and assists against a really stingy, long New Orleans Pelicans defense that's going to give him a ton of trouble in the passing lanes. If Steph decides to shoot from 30 feet and go 7 for 12 from 3, not much we can do about the points, so we'll stay with the rebounds and assists. And Obi Toppin, who another dude that Knicks fans are sort of mourning, but understand that he's in better pastures now. Over 10.5 points and a little, if that's what it comes out at, and a little ladder to 15 plus as well, which should get us 2-1 on our money. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Really, really happy to have you on the ride here as we're 13-2, man. Stay on this heater right now, kid, because the kid's wicked hot. We are going to come back, like I said, with another video tomorrow with more bets because there's 12 games, dude. So I can't just get these 3 / what do I got? I mean, I really got like 6 because I've got these ladder plays for you as well. But I want to get you some more dudes, some more games that we can look at as well. So continue to follow along, subscribe to that page. It's very much appreciated. And until I see you next, happy betting.